Hi, I'm James and welcome to my review of Battlefront Team Yankee M113 MRV, which is the Australian medium reconnaissance vehicle, sometimes called the Beast in Australian service. Grand total of 45 of them came into service in 1978 to replace the FSV, the fire support vehicle, which was a very similar vehicle which used a Saladin turret mounted on top of the M113 hull, which it was used from the mid-60s to the late 70s and did see service in Vietnam. So let's have a look what we've actually got in the box. We've got the crew figures. Now these are the British crew figures, which are quite useful for the Australians. Quite happy with those, you can see them there. We've also got the card and the gun barrels and hatches there. So we've got quite a few sprues in the kit, but let's start with this bit. We've got the resin hulls, tops and turrets, nicely cast, highly detailed, up to the usual Battlefront standard. And there's two of these in the box. It's quite an expensive way to build your vehicle, so I will show you another use for them. You can see there the clear casting. So what else do we have? I've got the card that I mentioned earlier with the statistics of Team Yankee. Since I don't play Team Yankee, not particularly useful to me. But if you play Team Yankee, obviously it will be. We've got various sprues. This is going to be a kit where you will have a lot of pieces for your bit box. You've got pretty much every M113 variant available. And I will show you a trick using this sprue here, which covers the M163 and M901 variants. We've then got so many different hatches, guns. It's a very, very useful set of accessories there. But we won't be using many bits. It's a bit frustrating in some ways that they've put so many sprues in with one or two items that we're going to take off them. Then you got your main sprue. Even here you're going to have spares because it's got the mortar carrier parts on there. But I can see why Battlefront have done it. It does just make their life a lot easier just to throw them in. And let's be honest, if we've got spares for the bits box, that's going to be quite useful. So you can see some of the sprues we've got here. Like I said, plenty of pieces. And I'm going to try and work out some things I can actually use these for. One trick I actually developed in order to use the vehicle a bit more fully was to not glue the whole top in place. By doing that, what I could do was use the hull as a second vehicle. I've used the 163 Vulcan variant simply because it has the flotation panels like the MRV. So it effectively gives me two different vehicles. I've used the NATO 3-colour camo, which I don't use for all of my Americans, but I use it on some. That way I can use the MRV turret in pretty similar effect as the Australian cam. So it does work quite well as an option just to increase the range of your forces. You can also use the hull in other ways. You can see the variant M115 I've built in the video, link above. Now, as regular viewers of the channel will know, most of my gaming of Cold War Gone Hot is done using Roger Garish's 7 Days to the River Rhine, published by Great Escape Games. I've put these statistics together for the MRV. They are completely unofficial. So you will need your opponent's consent to use them. Most of the other Australian vehicles are fairly easy to find. They tend to buy from other countries, so you can just use that. Worth noting that the MRV does very briefly cross over with the ASLAV, which is the Australian LAV 25. The Australians bought the ASLAV in 95-96, whereas the MRVs were withdrawn in 96 as spares became low and there were concerns over the toxicity of fumes from the gun. Having said that, they may well have re-entered service if the Cold War had gone hot at that point. So you could use them with that, although more usually you'd expect to find them as a addition to the M113. So using the Twilight 2000 rules, which are one of my favourites for role-playing, the MRV is fairly easy to stat up. I've based the statistics on the M115 and the Scorpion to get the details. It's worth noting a key feature is the fact that the wear value, I've gone for a minimum of 4. You could easily argue it was higher with the wear that they'd had. It's not going to be a very common vehicle if you're gaming in Europe, because there aren't the Australian troops in Europe, with the exception of the SAS if you want to have good fun with that scenario, which is in the Twilight Encounters box. It could be much more usable, I think, for gaming if you're playing Merc 2000. It's entirely up to you. It is worth noting, something I picked up when I was putting the statistics together, is it actually has an image intensifier built in. It was actually the first Australian vehicle that actually had that. It was actually better than their main battle tank, the Leopard AS1, when it came in. And from a gaming perspective, from role-playing, one of the key features on this is, like all British vehicles, it features a boiling vessel, a BV, so you actually have hot water in the back for a brew. Main reason is not for cups of tea, despite the myth. It's actually because the ration packs of the era were boil in the bag. You used hot water to cook your meal, but also you could then have a cup of tea, which is a key thing.